Do you like video games? Do you like the prospect of owning a video game and actually be able to play them at any given time, at any given situation? Well, then you clearly should go back to the PS3 and Xbox 360 era because current generation games disagree. These modern games that you bought online, the digital copies that you downloaded, the physical copies you bought on the stores, they're not really yours. They're only yours when the console manufacturers or the digital stores who distributed these games verify that they're yours. There's nothing wrong with verifying this information, but there is something wrong when you have to do it every single time you boot up the game. Do you guys remember the time in 2013 where Xbox One decides that you're not allowed to share your pre-owned games to the public and you're gonna have to be always online in order for the thing to work? Well, it turns out that this philosophy continues to this day. Recently, Modern Vintage Gamer published a video about how you cannot play Xbox One games on the Series X if you're not online, and that's only the beginning of the problem. Do you have a digital copy of a Series X game? Can't play that unless you're online. Doesn't matter if the game is single player, you have to be online regardless. It's not a one-time verification, which would at least be understandable. No, it's a constant verification to verify that you own the game that you bought with your hard-earned money. Do you have a copy of Xbox OG and Xbox 360 games? Great, you can totally play them on the Xbox Series consoles, but that's only if you sign in online to download the appropriate emulators and other stuff, like the actual game itself, because the discs are just licenses for the games. The games themselves are downloaded online. As for backwards compatible Xbox One games, yes, you can totally install them, but you have to be connected to the internet to verify that the game is yours. You can set the game console as your home console, but it doesn't work in all games. I mean, for God's sake, Microsoft, this is why Sony gets an easy roast from you, and I'm a very vocal critic for Sony. If you cannot let people to have the basic decency of playing these games offline, you're no better than the NES. And speaking of NES, Nintendo is guilty, but in a much different sense. If they have an old console with online services that hog just 1% of their total earnings to pay off server maintenance costs, they're gonna ask them, are there any old games that you love to play? Not without a high price, limited release dates, and features are unlocked in amiibos. You want the other older games? Tough luck, chum. But unlike Microsoft, at least you can play their games offline. PlayStation has absolutely zero concern for any of their old titles and in no way for you to play them except if you have older hardwares or emulation. Not to mention, it has a CMOS battery issue on the PS4 and also the PS5 too, in which if the CMOS battery dies, all of your games, both physical and digital, are rendered moot because the battery is required to sync the console time with the PSN. Yes, CMOS battery is replaceable, but PSN is not. If PSN goes poof, the hundreds if not thousands of dollar investment you made to the games you bought on the platform also goes poof. But unlike Microsoft, at least you can play the games offline. So yeah, this is an L that every game company takes, with Microsoft being the worst in this particular aspect. But what about the PC? Surely the PC won't suffer from these sorts of issues, right? Well, the PC is the best in terms of actually owning the games that you bought, but it really depends on where you get it. If you get a cracked copy of the game, congratulations, it's yours forever. You can install it as many times as you like to many different computers you like. If you get them from digital distribution stores that have DRMs like Steam, Epic Store, Origin, etc., you are bound by their restrictions. Steam will ban your account for various reasons, and if your account gets banned, the games that you bought registered to that account will no longer be yours. The same applies to all the free console manufacturers. To put it simply, thanks to video games being digital goods that are about as tangible as empty air, you don't actually own these things. You only own them because the corporations who distributed these games verify that you own them. Since these are digital goods, if the services from these corporations go out, if your account gets banned, if you do something that these corporations don't like, poof, your account is gone. The games that you purchase, gone. All the saves, the hard work you spent on the games, gone. And not even physical copies can save you this time. Even if you own a physical copy of the game, you're still bound by the restrictions of online verifications and game patches that you can only get online because we don't have to publish actually finished games nowadays when we can just patch them in updates that you have to download on digital stores anyway. It's even worse with the PC since almost all PC games are digital nowadays, but at least with the PC, you can have cracked version of these games. You can't do that on consoles. consoles, or at least natively. You're gonna have to get a jailbroken console and install the ripped copies of the games that you bought. This is how the video game industry evolves, people, taking a couple of steps forward and then several steps back. This is a system that we have to live in if you want to enjoy modern games, and it's a shame because there are modern titles that I genuinely enjoy and I look forward to playing, but I just hate the gaming industry treating everyone like they're evil pirates who are going to steal games and causing billions of dollars loss. And yes, these companies also count potential money not being spent to them as a quote-unquote loss. If they ask you for $60 and you don't give them, that apparently counts as a loss too. Let me emphasize this as many times as I can. Companies shouldn't worry about pirates. The prospect of people getting free stuff is indeed pretty terrifying for a lot of businessmen out there, but that's only if people actually know how to get them. Even if you have literally zero DRM, people would still prefer to buy the game because buying the game is actually more convenient, especially if you have the game in many different stores other than the ones that are always available. Look at Cyberpunk. The game is DRM free on PC. You can get the cracked version of the game on day one, and yet people still pre-order the game on both the PC and the consoles, and all of that despite many of its technical issues that I and so many other people have talked about relentlessly. Not to mention, when you actually buy the game, updating them is significantly easier than when you pirate them. Look at Super Mario 3D All-Stars. That game sells incredibly well, despite the fact that the game got a limited release, is completely off the store now, and eBay scalpers are selling the physical copy so that you people who have way too much disposable income can have the opportunity to make a terrible purchasing decision and draw a big L on your face. It's clear that people prefer buying the classic 3D Mario games on the latest Nintendo console than learning how to use Dolphin or how to jailbreak their Wii, or put the effort in doing all of those things. I mean, why else would Nintendo fans beg for Mother 3 to be released when they can just emulate the fan-translated version that has been available for years? This is the reality that we live in. People prefer to buy games than pirate them or emulate them because it's a lot more convenient and less of a headache to deal with. Buying games and finding games on the store have never been easier. All sorts of games can be bought from all sorts of websites. If you can't find a physical copy of the game, the console store should have digital copies somewhere. A couple of taps here and there, and the game is yours. All you need to do is to download them. But is the game really yours if you can't play the game unless you verify it with the vendors? Imagine writing a car that has to verify that you're the owner of it by connecting itself to the internet, and you have to do it all the time you write the car. People pirate games for many different reasons, but one thing that is the absolute truth is that the people who pirate games know how to pirate them. These people know how to navigate through the torrent websites and have loads of ad blocks and VPNs and all sorts of protections to prevent them from getting ganked by spywares or virus. Trust me when I say that 99% of people don't want to get through those hoops, which is why they always got their stuff stolen. They are willing to sacrifice their hard-earned money for the sake of getting a copy of the game on the store, which is a lot more convenient and in day one. But that purchase is made worthless when these game companies have complete control over how you manage your software. So if they're down, you can't do squat. You're just gonna sit tight and play any old games you have physically or crack digital copies of games that you have lying around somewhere. And the thing is, I'm not against digital goods at all. There are loads of benefits of digital goods. They can be copied as many times as you like. They can be saved to either the clouds or as many hard drives as you can. I have loads of external hard drives that have loads of data to the point where I have to probably invest in my own personal server or NAS, and these hard drives range from 2 terabyte to 5 terabytes. Not these big ass hard drives though. These are ancient and they're smaller in size than any of the external hard drives I have. I grabbed these from the old PCs that I had to repair for one of my mini market part-time jobs. One thing I can say for sure is that most of the data in these hard drives are definitely mine. Films, animes, TV series, cracked PC games, ripped games, game footages, real life footages, and B-rolls that I save in case I needed them, which thank God I did, because there are lots of times where I do need them. The only ones that are restricted by DRMs are the backups of the games that I purchase so that I don't have to download everything all over again. And even then, the game always give out new updates every couple of years or so. I am all for owning digital goods, but corporations don't let me. These goods that you bought with your hard-earned money are never really yours. They're only yours when the corporations say so. They're only yours when the corporations receive your hard-earned money. We've paid so much for the convenience of downloading and having little to no minds of any sort of physical storage rotting out and consuming too much space that we forgot how incredibly restrictive digital goods really really are. Thanks to the DRMs applied by so many companies, they have the full control over what kind of content you can consume. And we're not even getting through the kinds of content that are censored or banned due to moral outrage. Disney will not let you see some of its amazing classics because they have outdated depictions or stereotypes. That's just one example of how companies can have full control over what you can consume, what you can buy, and most importantly, what you bought. I really hate that piracy is the solution to these problems. People are really not comfortable with piracy, and even if they are, piracy is not easy. Jailbreaking, emulation, finding cracked copies, and rips are not easy for a lot of people to do. If you are one of those people who can do it without getting viruses left and right, congratulations, you're smarter than 90% of people around the world. What's easy to do is for them to actually buy the thing on the stores, and I admit, there are many things that I love about buying digital goods. They are so much easier and more convenient than pirating the games. The fact that Steam and other PC digital distribution platforms let me to back up my saves for free is something that other consoles will do in a freaking paywall. However, all of that praise is tainted by the fact that these digital goods are never truly mine. They're only mine as long as the stores and the services I spent their money on exist. When they still exist in the foreseeable future, that's great, but what if they don't? Companies need to make a failsafe that allows us to keep the things that we bought when their services are down. But since their services are still running and still giving them loads of money, they probably won't ever think of that. And if you can't do that, at the very least, have a way for us to be able to enjoy them when offline, or when your services are down so that we don't have to be dependent on it. At the very least, let us have the license for that particular product so that if the services are down, we can still download the product from somewhere else. Unfortunately, corporations won't even give you that courtesy because they don't trust you as a consumer, and they treat every single one of you as dirty pirates. And if these companies don't trust you as a consumer, then why should you trust them? That's all for the video today. If you like it, you can go ahead and click the like button and subscribe for more. If you wish, you could support the channel, links down below, and thanks for watching.